let's talk obviously a little bit about your next test on the road. Hawaii, very good offensive team especially. What do you see on film from the Rainbow Warriors?
Yeah, the thing about it, they're a legitimate, maybe top 25 team. I say that. They have 2 Power 5 wins already. They're extraordinary at home. You look especially the last 3 years, just how good they've been at home. And very, very good on defense and with an excellent offense. And a team that has a bunch of convincing wins already this year. Could very well end up being the team that wins their side of the division. I think certainly they got to be in the mix, in addition to San Diego State and Fresno State too. Just look. I think, if you had to, so give me a couple of examples in terms of how capable they are. They've beaten 2 Pac-12 teams. They won in Reno by more than 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 touchdowns, or 6 touchdowns, or 7 touchdowns. Just for how dominant they were in that game. And, they are an excellent football team in all regards.
Coach, we talked a lot about Fresno State last week. To get such a convincing win on the home field against those guys, how big was that for your group?
It's one game. I think any game that you play, it is solely one game. Now, it takes probably takes some context and some maturity to view something as one game. It probably doesn't generate an enormous amount of news when it's only one game.
But to beat the reigning Mountain West champs, that's pretty big, and for your confidence moving forward as a team, do you guys kind of hang your hat on that?
We do not. I know you were hoping maybe we don't. It's like I said, it's a solo contest. And this week is a brand new challenge, and very much a very stern challenge too.
Cool. Let's talk about Cole McDonald. He's leading the conference in a lot of categories. What makes him so effective?
He, great arm strength, very, very accurate, confident as a quarterback, and yet at the same time has good mobility. So you can't just say solely he's always going to throw from that point directly 8 yards behind the football.
And going to Hawaii, can you kind of paint a picture of what this weekend will look like for you guys schedule-wise? I know it is quite a long trip.
I can, or we'll do the best we can here. It's a pretty good duration to the flight, yet I don't know if that's a huge deal. You look at the number of flights that we have, like if we were to fly to San Diego, that's a decent length flight. If we were to fly to the East Coast to play somewhere along the northeastern seaboard, there's a good duration of a flight there, and a good number of our guys that maybe even have been overseas, maybe even in terms of the Operation Air Force, the few weeks that they have prior to their junior year, where they go to a base. We will leave on Thursday evening, and just to have a little more time to acclimate. And it's not so much the climate as it is the time zone, to a degree that way, just because there are some hours that are involved that are different.
And you guys are wearing some pretty cool jerseys this week. I don't know if you have any comments. Do you like playing in those alternate jerseys?
It's we love the chance to honor the Air Force whenever we're able to do that, and then not only to honor the Air Force as a whole, but the crew members that are involved with C-17s, not only the pilot, but all the way through, that are involved in making the C-17 such a incredible part, not only for the United States Air Force, but for our country. And but also specifically to identify those bases that have the C-17 wings. I think it is super, super cool.
Coach, just want to ask you about your offense. I think 4 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown in the win over Fresno State. Do you think you kind of got back to Air Force football in that win, and did you see a lot of things you liked in that game?
Like I said, it is a single contest, and no 2 games are ever going to be the same. So what happened in that game compared to 4 games ago, they're 2 separate encounters. And it's I can't say what happened in that game is automatically what's going to happen 4 games from now either.
Well, I was asking you because Hawaii has a prolific offense. This could be a game where it is pretty high scoring. I mean, do you feel pretty confident, in it being able to go back and forth if that's what the case is on Saturday?
There are a lot of different ways that you attempt to win throughout the season. If there was only one template, maybe you'd only use that one template. I'll tell you what was huge the other night was just in the second half, the number of stops that we came up with on third down especially. To be able to have an interception that's not only an interception that not just turned field position, but went all the way into the end zone. It was a big play too. I mean, this week we'll have to play really, exceptionally well this week in all three facets. The special teams aspect of it, certainly offensively and defensively too.
But sometimes is the best defense a good offense that holds the football time of possession to keep Hawaii not having the football potentially?
Would it be where, in the perfect world, would you love to have an 18-play drive, then they're 3 and out, an 18-play drive, and they're 3 and out? That's not realistic. It's not. And, that's just not in terms of being accurate where that's going to be the case. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
And any chance for surfing or luau, or is it strictly football this weekend?
It's ironic you say that. We brought up, I visited yesterday with the players, and I said, hey, look, when you guys got a trip planned to Hawaii and you want to bring me along, I'm all in. And anything that you want to eat and maybe even goes beyond the food part, hey, come on, you got to bring, Coach, here in 6-7 years where that's the case. Now, I don't know how many invites I'll really get. They might say, Coach is no fun. Last thing we're going to do is invite him, especially his outlook was last time we went to Honolulu. So, it would just, we're going to, one, to get a bunch of work done on the plane, which we're able to do. There's some time during the day, I think especially on Friday, some on Saturday, where if you need to get homework accomplished, you get that completed and to go play football.